Good morning.
That ended abruptly.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. Good morning. Yesterday, for my day job, Lana Whiting, who's a former guest of ours and a good friend of mine, made us a opening for the Arts Partnership. And she said it wasn't so bad to do. So I thought, well, I'm going to try one. So that's what I worked on this morning. Needs a little transition fade out as opposed to just the fall off a cliff. But I like the idea of it. So good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to episode 360.
360.
360, Dr. Mary. That's a full circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, it's so mathy of me. I am shocked to be at 360 episodes. So we're going to retell a story that we told early on. In fact, I think we told it for episode 4. But amazingly, episode 4 does not exist anywhere on YouTube that I can find. I probably could go back and find it on Facebook and download it. But I think it's a really important story. And it's actually one of the 2 or 3 reasons that we even started Daily Dose in the first place. So I just want to set it up a little bit for you. We were out biking in May or June of 2020. So think back to where you were in May or June of 2020. Unless you were in the medical profession or another frontline worker, you were probably largely working from home, sequestered at home, staying safe, wearing masks, all those things. And everything felt very uncertain. So Dr. Mary and I were out for a bike ride. And I looked over and his pocket was super lumpy, which it often is because Dr. Mary carries many, many things in his pockets. But this was particularly excessively lumpy. And I said to him, "What is going on with your pockets?" And he said, "I have my keys with me." And I said, "Why do you have your keys?" We always bring my keys when we go bike riding because my keys have the bike lock on them. So I said, "Why in the world do you have your keys?" And now I will transition over to you, Dr. Mary.
Well, I have to take a step back here. So the reason I had my keys is actually not a straight answer, which I gave the first time, which was a bit of a letdown. So
it really was.
When I first went to hospital with a nosebleed
in February of 2017,
they kept me in overnight, and then they said to Daniel, "We've got to keep him in." Then I had a bone biopsy. I was going to have a liver biopsy, but I apparently went into withdrawal and then had a psychotic break and ended up in a coma for a week. At which point, Dana
medically induced coma
for a week. In which case, Dana took some of my clothes home because they said, "Well, he's in the hospital." So after I came out of the coma and about the time I spent in the hospital before I transferred to the rehab, I didn't have any jeans or pants with me. So Dana, who was deathly ill with the flu, before the pandemic, so it absolutely was the flu, came in and just handed me a pair of pants, and I put them on, and then she packed a bag for me, and we went to rehab. But I never had my keys, and it kind of scared me because I just thought I am effectively homeless. I don't have any way to get into my house, so if I wasn't allowed back into the house, I would have nowhere to go. And it kind of scared me. So I tend to bring my keys with me everywhere. So I have some place that I know I could get to.
So I never knew that story until May or June of 2020. And I'm someone who prides myself on never having my keys with me. I hate carrying keys. They're lumpy and they're heavy. And I like the idea of knowing that my house is just open. And by my house, I don't mean this is my house, my house, and available and welcoming to me or to anyone else. So that's kind of always been a difference between us. But when he told me this story, it just broke my heart, because I think what I didn't realize until that moment was that, this is going to sound crazy, but I gave Maz kind of a one-dimensional personality until that moment. That he just went from being an alcoholic to being a person trying to get sober and then achieving sobriety. And I never considered what that 6.5-week journey had been like for him. I knew what it had been like for me. And of the two of us, this will shock no one, I'm the more verbal. I'm the more likely to express how I'm feeling, to work through things out loud, to, demand that my emotions be taken attention of. But I had never, ever wondered how Maz felt about any of that. It had never dawned on me that he would have had complex emotions around it, that he would have been afraid, that he would have been sad and angry, all the things that I was, he was too. And I never knew that. And I think that's really powerful. It was really powerful to me when you said it to me. Maybe everybody else thinks about the people in their lives who are struggling with anything as fully formed, complex human beings. Maybe it's just me that didn't. I'm perfectly willing to accept that. But I don't think so. I think it's easy to classify an addict as just, he's a drunk, she's a gambler, he's a sex addict, however you want to talk about it. They're this, they're that. But that's not all that they are. And it's not all that they feel or think. And I just never knew that.
Yeah.
I think it's an incredible story. So if you're the person who is on the other side of addiction, in terms of like you have a spouse or a child or a parent or whoever in your life is struggling with the addiction, think about that fear. Think about the fear of thinking to yourself, I have nowhere to go. I've never felt that way. Have you ever felt it any other time?
Just once, and you were very... One of the things about Dana that I think you may have worked out by now is that not being coy or anything, but she does know kind of everything. She's a very
real poor at math and science.
She's a very accomplished professional woman, a fantastic mother, and those two combinations alone are quite dangerous. So here's what the point of this ramble is. We went to England, and my brother-in-law was picking me up because Dana said, we're not hiring a car. Let's try not hiring a car. So we tried to not hire a car, and it was awesome because we saved about $1,000. And we got the train from Heathrow Airport into Paddington and then out to Slough, which is the nearest big town to Windsor. And my brother-in-law picked me up. But when we were there waiting for Chris, because he said, oh my God, you're early. I can't stop work till 3:30.
Yeah.
I said, that's fine. We'll go across the street, grab a coffee. It's great. All right, it is Slough, but
stay focused, please.
And there was this alcoholic, homeless guy that was just wandering around talking to me. And it just really messed with me because I thought that could be me. And I was really struggling with it. And then Dana put her arm around me and said, that would never have been you. So yeah, that's the only other time I thought about that. But it is the idea of having nowhere to go is actually, or nowhere to be, without the ability to find somewhere where you can feel safe. That was kind of scary to me. So
Yeah.
I have my keys with me all the time. Dana would love me to get
A man purse.
man purse. I didn't want to use that phrase.
I don't know what else.
But a
to
friend of
call it.
ours, Ernest Lamb, who is now in New York, being the vice president of which university?
Who
It
cares?
doesn't matter. But he has a man purse. So I toyed with that. I almost saw one actually out in Western
You
North
did
Dakota.
see one. You just almost bought it.
I almost bought it. So I might be transitioning to the man purse.
They're very chic. They're very European.
They are apparently.
Yes.
But no joking aside, it's just how I deal with the fact that I will never feel that scared and lonely again is I just carry my keys with me all the time.
Yeah.
And I mean all the time. I actually have been known to put them in my pocket to take the trash 100 feet down to the start of the driveway.
Yes. Yes. He's not kidding all the time.
If there's anyone watching this with any medical and psychological training, they're probably going, "Oh, make a note there, weirdo."
I think it's really telling about I'm not sure what, but the fact that you take them to the end of the driveway and I would go around the world without them. And I that's not me saying, "Oh, I'm so much better than you are." It's just telling of something. I think maybe I've never questioned that I have a place. And I think you often have without necessarily knowing
and I
it.
think that could be it. I mean, you put it this way. I mean, I used to be an Irish citizen, but I was born and grew up in England. So there were some people that said, "Well, you're not really Irish, are you?" And there was Irish people that said, "Well, the same thing, or you're not English, or you're not Irish." So I became an American thinking, "Oh, this will seal the deal." But of course, you're not really an American until you actually think completely like an American. So.
Yeah, so don't spend any more time trying to do that, please. My mother has a few comments. The reason you didn't know about him and what he was going through is that we, as in she and I, talk about every whim and thought we have. And if someone else internalizes their thoughts, we think they don't have them. We could change that, as you're talking about. Yes, we could change that. That would be good for us. And then you all know my mother calls Maz Wally. Long story. I don't think Wally can move to a man purse. I just don't. One of your brothers has one, and we giggle about it all the time. Well, he's kind of European-like.
Wes?
Yeah.
Well, he's married to a French woman.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that's the one that has it. It seems likely it would not be the other one.
Well, his 3 children probably would have stolen it for themselves.
They might have.
Or put dog treats in it.
So I guess the point is just, be welcoming. If you have someone in your life, and be considerate of their complexity, even if they seem very, very simplistic in the way they're moving through the world. Sometimes I hear these stories and I think, well, what if I had been able to talk about that with him while he was drinking? What if I had been able to be kind and quiet and really listen? Could you have even articulated that, and would it have made a difference? Because I think the same way we've heard from guests over and over and over again that they took that first drink at 12, 13, 14 years old, and they finally felt like they fit in, they belonged. I think this is part of all of that feeling like they don't belong, like they aren't in the right place, or that they don't have a purpose and place to be. So what if I had been able to just be kinder and quieter and listen to this? And would you have even been able to articulate it? And would it have made a difference?
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
we don't know.
I mean, you could tie yourself in a knot with the what ifs. So there are some aspects of life where you think, you know what, it's just time to move forward. The past is the past. You learn from it, and then you learn to let it go. You learn from it and move on. Don't dwell in it.
I hardly ever comment on his lumpy pockets anymore.
What did I get for Christmas?
I don't know.
You bought me a pair of. I wanted a pair.
Oh, right. That was 2 Christmases ago.
Was it? No,
I don't know.
Anyway,
Doesn't matter.
I wanted a pair. I was telling Dana I was going to get combat pants.
Cargo pants.
They've got the side pockets. So Dana got me a slim fit pair, which looked good. And then I loaded up the pockets and then realized it was ridiculous.
It was preposterous.
So
the pants went back.
Very well played reverse psychology from the person who does actually pretty much know everything in a very good way. I'm not. This is a compliment. I want everyone to know that.
Well, okay. So I forgot to say at the beginning, we decided not to have a guest on today because we have an announcement to make. So I am going to show you this announcement.
Oh, good Lord.
I know, it's so exciting. Also an abrupt ending.
That's very... We got to work on the fade out.
I know. I don't know how to do that. I felt pretty accomplished doing the two things I did do this morning. We're taking another summer hiatus. If you're listening to this
on a podcast, that's not going to make any sense to you whatsoever.
No, but you will have heard the abrupt ending of the music. We're taking a summer hiatus. We did it last year. That's when we transitioned from 5 days a week to 2 days a week when we came back in September. We're taking the month of August and the first part of September off again because it's important to take breaks. It's important to invest in self-care. It's important to step away from things. Even when they're going well, take the time to reflect, take the time to think through, what do we want to do next? How do we want to keep going? Do we want to keep going? All those kinds of things. And quite frankly, my own work is amping up pretty substantially. And so I need this time to commit to that. And you need this time to get your feet underneath you as chair of your department.
Yeah, first semester as chair. I've got a lot of stuff to get through this at the end of August. So this is going to be beneficial all round for the two of us.
So we will not be live until Tuesday, September 6th. We will not be sending out a newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter and then plan to get it the 8th, 9th, 10th of September will be the first one that goes out. But until then, enjoy the rest of your summer and be safe. If you're concerned about some sort of potential addiction in your life, be proactive. I think that maybe you could agree with this. If you'd gone in for help when you first started having some concerns,
oh God, yes,
might have been a very different journey.
I've said this before. In the nearly 5.5 years I've been going to AA meetings, I have only ever seen two people just walk in and ask for help, which is probably two of the most courageous things I've ever personally seen in my entire life.
Yeah. So don't wait till you have a nosebleed that almost kills you, or a marriage that ends, or a job that gets you fired, or an accident that kills someone. Don't wait for that. Get the help you need. If you need it, August is the perfect time to do that. You know, you can go back and watch all of our episodes on YouTube if you want some inspiration. But stay safe. Have a great August.
Take care of yourselves.
And we'll see you.
Be kind.
Yeah, we'll see you September 6th. Until then.
Bye.
Bye.